Hello everyone, welcome back to this course of SAP BODS. We are done with enough of theoretical part, now let's get our hands dirty by logging into the system. This is how my data services repository login page would look like. System or host, where my BODS designer is hosted. Username and password, I'll enter my credentials. Here I am with a lot of repositories. In real-time project scenarios also, you'll be having a list of repositories and you have to choose your own specific repository. If against a repository the read-only value is set to yes, then it means you can only enter inside that repository and view that repository. However, you cannot edit anything inside that repository. If the read-only option is set to no against a repository, in that case, you can enter inside the repository, you can make any changes, you can make a code, and you can come out of that repository. In my case, I have access to ext user file repository. Let's log in inside that. So here I am, and this is how my data services designer looks like. I have my projects, my jobs, my workflows, my data flows, transformations, data stores, formats, and some functions. Let's first create a data store connection that will connect my BODS with SQL Server. So how you can create it? You go to data store, right click, and select new. Let me give a name. So it's ds underscore SQL underscore BODS. The data store type is database. Database type I'm selecting as Microsoft. And other details popped up automatically. Database server name. In my case, it is EIM42. I'll be entering my database server where my database is hosted. Database name. Wait, in real-time project scenarios, you won't be having only one database. You will be having multiple databases. For example, for a development system, you'll be having a database. For a quality system, you'll be having a different database. For a pre-production system, you'll have a different database and so on. So as of now, I have my database name as extuser5. The credentials to access those database. Remember, always click on apply first. In case if there is an issue or some mistake you have done, you'll get a warning or you'll get a pop-up which will tell you what mistake have you done or what is the error. Let's click on apply. No issues, no problems. Let's hit OK and create the data store. As you can see, my data store is created and this data store is now pointing to extuser5 database of SQL Server. Click on plus. You have functions, you have tables, you have template tables. As of now, I have no table imported in my data store. So first, let's go to SQL Server and check which table you can import in BODS. Here I am inside my SQL Server. Let me choose any table that will have some records. Let's select AL underscore ATTR. Okay, so it is having some records. We can import this table and start our work. You go to BODS, right click tables, click on import by name. The name of my table is AL underscore ATTR. Let's import this. Click on plus. Okay, I have this table now in my BODS repository. Suppose there is a situation wherein your source data or your source data structure actually gets changed and you want to import that structure, that new structure in your BODS repository. So how you can do that? Select your table, right click and click on re-import. Then it means if there are any structural changes for this table, those changes will now be imported in your BODS. If you go to tables and if you right click and click on import or re-import all, in that case, for all the tables which are present inside your data store, all those will be now re-imported, which means they all will now be aligned with the source structure. But as of now, I have only one table and I'll not be re-importing because I have not made any structural changes. By structure changes, I mean any new column has been added, any column has been deleted, or something like that. Now let's create a job. But before creating a job, we should have a project inside which we'll place a job. So let's create a project. You go to project, new, and project. There is another way through which you can create a project. using this icon. Let's name the project as BODS underscore training. I have my project ready. Now let's create our first job. I've just given a random name to this job, and remember, job is the only component that you can execute. I'll not be placing any workflow. I'll simply be placing a data flow. Data flow means flowing of data, which will actually contain my source, my transformations, and my logics. And workflow, it's like a container inside which you can place your data flows. Let me name the data flow as this is my workspace area wherein I'll be developing my logic. Let's drag our source table which we have imported just now. Let's make it as a source. Let's go with the query transform. What is a query transform actually? It's like your SQL query. So all the functions or all the queries that you write in a SQL server, the same query will be created using this query transform. How? I'll just show you in a while. Let me connect this source with the query transform. Let's select all the fields. There are two ways to move these fields from input to output. That means from my schema in to my schema out. One is right click and select map to output. The other is select all and drag it. Here it is, 1:1 mapping. How it is 1:1 mapping? See, for parent underscore obj id, it is mapped to my table name and the field name. For attr underscore name, it's same. It's table name and the field name, which means for this output, this is my input. I need to change a value. Sorry, I need to change a field actually. Let me rename it as attr, parent underscore attr. We'll go back. Let's call a template table. Let's import this template table in this data store ds underscore sql underscore bods. Now we will execute this job, but wait, let's not execute this job in the simpler way. Let's create it a little complex by adding a script. Here I add this script. So I'll design this script in such a way that it will give me a simple print statement. And the print statement should be like job has been started. Let me copy this. And let's add one more script at the end. So as you can see, these pipe operators are nothing but combined operators or concatenate operators. Job name, this is a function, an inbuilt function present in BODS, using which will return the name of your job. As you can see, the data type of return or the return data type is varchar. Now let's go back and execute our job. So as you can see, the pop-up message job underscore attr has been started or job underscore attr ended. So what was the role of job name function? It returned the name of your job, which is job underscore attr. And let's see the data in that final target table. Okay, I have my data as it is flown from source to target. But this is my template table. What if I make it as a permanent table? If I make a template table into a permanent table, I cannot alter its structure. Okay, wait, you can alter the structure, but for that you have to make an alter statement at the backend. It's not possible via BODS. One more thing, even for the template structure, you cannot change it. Why and how? If you go to options and if you uncheck this checkbox, drop and recreate table. And now if you add any structure or any field, if you add from input to output, in that case, if you execute your job, that new field won't be populated in the template table, because drop and recreate table itself means when the job will be executed at the database level, this table will be dropped and it will be recreated based on the new structure. Only if this checkbox is selected, this functionality of template table would work. So that's it for this lecture. In case if you have time, do join me the next session. Thank you.